Hari Hari. So in our daily Gita, we're on chapter 17, text 20. Charity, given out of duty, without expectation of return, at the proper time and place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in the mode of goodness. The way we are practicing charity in this day and age, and the way we think of charity in this day and age, causes far more harm than good. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and I will certainly explain that, Krishna says, Yagya dhana tapa karma natyajyam karyameva tat. Yagya, dhana, tapa, these are activities, natyajyam, should never be given up, because, pavanani manishinam, because they purify even the great soul, the great souls. The reason why I say charity in this day and age causes more harm than benefit than good is because the way we practice charity, it is not purifying. In today's verse, Krishna says charity should be given out of duty without expectation of return, proper time and place, and to a worthy person. There's a phrase that we get stuck on and thereby misunderstand what it means to give in charity. Worthy. Giving charity to a worthy person. It is that idea of who is not worthy, which organization is or is not worthy, is where we get into a problem and where our charity is no longer purifying. In fact, it is harmful. There are three types or three ways we engage in charity: body, mind, and soul. On the level of the body, we may give food, clothing, shelter to those in need. On the level of the mind, we give love, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, forgiveness. Those are acts of charity. On the level of the soul, whatever facilitates bringing the jivatma, the individual soul, closer to the Supreme, Krishna, that is an act of charity. So these are the three levels on which charity can be practiced, or how charity can be practiced. We get into difficulty, we get into problems where we look at phrases like worthy, and that's where the wheels fall off. And charity is no longer purifying, and in fact is harmful. For example, facilitating someone's coming closer to Krishna, to the Supreme, we can do that by giving them the opportunity for service, seva. That seva purifies and brings them closer to the Supreme. That's what seva does. However, and giving that opportunity is an act of charity. However, if that person is not qualified to do that seva in the sense that that is going to end up in that person engaging in seva aparad, then our giving that opportunity for them to serve is no longer charity. In fact, it is harmful, because that person who is unworthy is going to engage in seva aparad and thus make their connection towards the Supreme even less so, or erect obstacles to preventing that connection. However, it's not that the person is not worthy of being connected to the Supreme. That's where we lose it. We misunderstand. We think a person is not worthy of being connected to the Supreme. We think a person is not worthy of receiving respect, forgiveness, love. We think a person is not worthy of getting food, clothing, and shelter. How you give those things requires discrimination, absolutely, so that there is no misuse. But whether or not a person is worthy of such things, that is not a question. The most famous act of charity is the phrase, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," when Jesus was being beaten and then nailed to a cross. It wasn't an act of forgiveness. It was an act of charity. Forgiveness is an act of charity. Christ had a mental disposition that was charitable. Far more than just charitable, but that was part of it. That is charity. Now, when we look at, say, for example, I give $500 to a person I see who I believe is in need. I discriminate. I give $500 to this person, but not to this person. Why am I making that discrimination? Oftentimes, that discrimination is made based on my prejudices, my fears, my biases, my traumas, my conditioning that I get from country, religion, culture, any number of conditionings, parents, family members. All of these measures I put to determine whether or not someone is qualified for charity is a problem. And this is where it causes harm. Because if I give a person $500, that person fits into a particular box that I deem makes that person worthy. When I give that $500 to that person, that organization, that crystallizes, fossilizes even those parameters, those conditionings, fears, traumas, hang-ups. All those things become more and more codified, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, in my consciousness. I thereby go through life with these biases, traumas, fears, prejudices, and I judge everything and everyone around me based on these prejudices. That's why it causes more harm. I give $500 to that person. That person is certainly $500 benefited by $500, without a doubt. But the harm to me is far greater than merely being out of $500. The harm to me will encompass all of my relationships, because the measure I used to deem that person deserving of $500, that has now become a more ingrained prejudice. However I come to that determination, whatever causes me to determine this person is worthy, that person is not. Those things now become ingrained as part of my psychological, emotional being. That is the harm. So charity in the mode of goodness is actually seeing and recognizing that everyone is worthy of charity. Everyone is worthy of forgiveness, of love, of protection, of shelter. How it is given is secondary. The reason why it is purifying is because for us to come to that understanding is where charity truly has an uplifting and a positive effect. The monetary value, the material value of charity is short term, absolutely. But the consciousness is required for us to give. That is priceless. That is eternal. Because it transforms our way of thinking. It transforms our consciousness. And what that does is it makes love possible. It makes love, forgiveness, kindness, generosity. It makes all those things able to be manifest from ourselves fully. We're able to experience these things fully. Again, it doesn't mean that we engage someone who is an aparari in seva. No, we give them prasad. The same measure. We're still facilitating their coming closer to Krishna, but we don't put them in a situation that causes obstacles to be erected in their progress towards the Supreme. We are still charitable. We're still loving, forgiving, because our consciousness has been purified. So to develop or to live a life that is charitable, it first has to start in our consciousness. What we do after that, certainly important, but secondary. We have to work through our biases, our prejudices, our conditionings that says, no, this person is undeserving because that's my ex-spouse. This person is undeserving because this person said this about me. This person is undeserving because they've nailed me to a cross. So charity has I take that back. I was going to say absolutely nothing. Of course it has something to do with the receiver. But 90% of the benefit of charity is to ourselves. 90%. The person who walks away with $500, fine. They are benefited according to what they value with that $500. Perfectly fine. The greater benefit is to ourselves. Because in order to give in charity in the mode of goodness requires us to be free of resentments, free of prejudices, biases, fears, traumas. Those are the things that are not necessary to be eliminated in order for us to have a charitable disposition. That is charity in the mode of goodness. Are we charitable in how we speak of other people? Are we charitable in giving another person a benefit of the doubt when they do something foolish? Charity begins at home. At home is the consciousness. That's where charity begins. Charity in the mode of goodness means the recognition that every single living creature deserves charity on all three levels: physical, emotional, and spiritual. Hari Hari.